I'm not going to sing it again now that I'm recording.
Okay, that's fair.
Space Jam DVD.
Space Jam DVD. What if we just did that for the entire episode? You just said Space Jam DVD, just with the inflection of what you actually wanted to say, and see if we could actually communicate.
I think that would fail miserably, if I'm being entirely honest with you.
Then that sends us to our height of popularity is just by being dumb. I mean, of course, that is our goal.
That is kind of exactly what we're doing right now, is popularity by stupidity. I'm okay with that.
You know?
I'm okay with being known for that.
For being dumb.
Absolutely.
I mean, among our friends, we are known for things like terrible jokes.
My jokes aren't terrible.
Not to you.
Or to, funny people.
No, because I think your jokes are terrible.
Stumped you on that one, didn't I?
Because I think your jokes are terrible, and I'm a funny person.
Are you, though?
Yes, very much so. I've been told by many people I'm funny.
Well, if you have to be told, then you know you're not funny.
No, I think if you have to tell people that you're funny, then you're not funny.
I don't tell people that I'm funny. I just am.
You just told me that you're funny.
No, I just am.
No,
I didn't tell you that.
You told me that you're funny.
I didn't tell you that.
You told everybody.
I'm going to run it back. I didn't tell him that I was funny. I just am funny. And that's kind of how I live my life.
Yeah.
Just being,
You exist, that's true.
Yeah. Speaking of existing, the cat has joined us for this episode. It's lovely. Looking at the light. That'll do.
Very good. Good job, Jester.
Yeah. We've been working hard.
We have. We put in quite a bit of effort towards some projects this week.
Some projects. If you listen to the podcast, you're one of the 10 people that listens to this podcast.
Thank you.
And you'll know before anyone else. We're working on a chunky little homebrew pack that we're going to release on DriveThruRPG on Blood Magic. Subclasses, spells, feats, magic items, the whole 9 yards, really.
Mm-hmm.
All 9 of them.
Yes.
I don't know.
We're not stopping at 8.
Not stopping at 8.
No.
We're not going to go to 10 either. We're not.
That's overkill.
We're not trying to fucking show off or anything.
We're not tryhards.
We are not tryhards in the slightest.
No. Okay.
But it will not interrupt our normal monthly release of free homebrew. This upcoming one is some feats.
Feats, yep.
We're not really feat men ourselves, but
no.
we enjoy a good Dungeons and Dragons feat from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could have an entire discussion about feats and how difficult they are to get sometimes. It's a hard choice.
Yeah.
It's very limiting, and I like that the way we play, we tend to just be like, have some feats, it's fine. Yeah. Just take them. Are we in the fucking Twilight zone? Like, this is the second time we've sat down to record, and all right, well, I swear this isn't a bit.
No, we never get visitors, and this is the second time while recording that we've gotten a visitor. Let's see who it is.
Oh, hey sir, how are you? What's that? Hey, not doing too bad. My name's Matt from Since I Go. We just released all the full fiber optics out here. I didn't know if you knew about that.
No.
Yeah, this is actually full fiber now. Okay. So you actually have somebody other than just Spectrum, if you have Spectrum right now for internet or TV. Okay. Another provider besides them. Just a quick question. Do you guys currently have this internet with Spectrum?
Yes.
Just internet only?
Yeah.
Do you remember what speed you're at all?
No. I'm sorry. We are going to do this over there.
Oh, no problem. I'll at least leave you a flyer. With my name and information on it. If you need to talk a little bit more, I'll stop back another day. All right. My name and number's out the bottom left in the meantime.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Well, I hope that
this isn't a joke. Like, this isn't a bit that we plan. I swear to God. Like, this is fucking ludicrous.
If you want to take the time right now, you could have, I'd say, 30 seconds to rage against big internet.
Okay. I'm going to need at least 90.
All right. You are granted.
Internet service providers are scams. They're legal corporate monopolies. They are the worst. And only, I will say, for a positive, with the new fiber lines that they're running, which is what this fucking bullshit was about, with fiber lines that they're running, they're new, and the government is not being so dumb as to just allow only one company to use them. So this gentleman came to our door to let us know that that Cincinnati Bell installed fiber up to our complex, and thus we have another option for internet if we want it. No. I'm not going to do that. ISPs are garbage, and I hate them. And I cede the rest of my time.
All right. Anyway.
They don't even list a price. Oh, fuck off. They don't even list a price. I hate ISPs so much.
Well, that was our... that was...
That's the second time. That's the second time this has happened to us. We sit down to record, we're getting into a groove, and for the first time in 3 months, someone knocks on our fucking door.
Right. At least last time it was like the guy was trying to be helpful to the neighbor.
Yeah, the last one was nice. It was a nice guy, but now I'm just annoyed. Because I hate... I straight up thought that I was being punked for a second, I'm not gonna lie. I also would have loved if it was just one of our friends being like, hey, you guys know how you always say that you can come over whenever you like? We're taking you up on that now.
Right, that random offer we give.
We always put it out, and we're always very genuine. Like, our friends can come over anytime, and then they never do.
Yeah.
I was straight up expecting, like, Rachel to just be at the door being like, hey, what's up? I'm here to hang. And we're like, oh... You could sit on the couch quietly for 2 hours.
Last time I talked to Jacob, he's like, I never took you up on that. Maybe I'll start doing that. I'm like, yeah, I'm home all day. You're home half the day.
Yeah.
And
what were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Something about foot fetishes, I think.
Oh, right. Not foot fetishes, but feet fetishes when it comes to D&D.
I do fetishize a good feet from time to time. I will say.
Eventually we'll have to do a recording of our stances on when, how, and what feat to take. Obviously, last week we did the feat survey by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, they didn't post it on their website though. They were like there was like a weird survey link that was like floating about. It was from Wizards of the Coast. Like, Wizards of the Coast made the survey, but they just like never posted it on their website for some reason. Seems a little silly, but we gave our thoughts on all of the feats in the PHB. That was last week's episode. Mm-hmm. It's a good time.
Yeah, and then, like we said, we have a feats pack coming out. By the time you listen to this, it will be out.
It will be available. If you're watching right now live on the TikTok, it'll be the first week of March.
So next week.
Next week. It'll be a good time. We also have all the socials, the Twitter. You follow us on TikTok, Dungeon Bros YT for both of them.
Check out our Discord.
The Discord. There's a link tree in our Twitter and our TikTok, and probably somewhere on YouTube there's a link to join our Discord server. We've got a lot of people growing. There are
people joining it.
It's a good time.
We need more interaction, though, I think.
Yeah, I think we are as individuals are trying to do a bit better as well about contributing and sparking conversation. We do have like a looking for group channel that people always post in, but it doesn't look like people are really going out there to try and get like a little online D&D thing. So I think it might be fun for us to be like, hey, let's grab some people and do a little one shot on the Discord server.
Yeah, maybe that's something we'll do here in a couple of weeks. Once we wrap up our blood pack some more.
Yeah, and things get a little.
We can
chill.
offer maybe some playtest sessions with that via our Discord.
Jester, if you attack that tripod, I'm sending you back to the pound.
You don't have the heart.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
You can also subscribe to us on Twitter, or subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. All the things. Podcast services around the globe. All that. Oh, please don't. Oh, gosh.
That was a little...
God, man.
Whew. Okay.
She almost did not clear the cable that's plugging in my phone right now. So that's...
Anyway.
Wow, I'm so thrown off right now, but like
threw you off your game.
I hate internet service providers. Anyway, we got a couple news items before we get into our spoiler cast.
Yes.
Of The Legend of Vox Machina, which has just completed on Amazon Prime.
First season has wrapped up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. If you want to watch it, you can get a free month of Amazon Prime and just binge all 12 episodes. And there's also some other good stuff on Amazon as well. So check it out. Or, if you're so inclined, wait until next fall, because the Lord of the Rings of Power is going to be on Amazon Prime. So that's exciting. I'm very pumped for that. A lot of people are poo-hooing it for a lot of stupid reasons that just run the gamut, the spectrum of people. and they're all being idiots about it. And I'm like, it looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like obviously there's like the Hobbit-y sort of like CG going on, but it's better, and there's less of it. So I'm excited. It's fine.
I think people are just so quick to naysay anything.
Especially ringers, for sure, are very, very critical of things that take place in Middle-earth. Very, very critical, even though it's going to be fine. It's not going to be like the last season of Game of Thrones. I would all but guarantee that. Anyway, we got 3 news items for the day. First one, as reported by Games Radar, a brand new D&D starter set is on the way. And this set was announced in the weirdest way possible. Hasbro, they sell a lot of D&D products. They're one of the parent companies that owns Wizards of the Coast, and they gave a little YouTube sizzle reel, just like a boring promotion. It has like 7,000 views on YouTube because who gives a shit about watching Hasbro's promotional material? Right. In the sizzle reel, you can see a starter set for D&D called Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, which is brand new. It comes with some blue dice, which is a little bit different than the other starter set. Also, only 6 dice. It doesn't include the percentile D10, which is a bit weird, but. I mean, another adventure, another starter set is cool. Apparently, Wizards of the Coast had not mentioned the product before this video, but when Games Radar reached out to Wizards for comment, they could only find reference to like a Business Wire press release, and apparently it's listed at a recommended price of $49.99, even, which is like in the line of all the D&D books pretty much. Yeah. But the original starter set costs $20.
Yeah, I've bought one of those before for somebody. Which, I mean, even the original starter set was definitely lauded by some more intense fans of D&D, where it's like, you don't need to buy this. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. Where they were mentioning you don't need to buy this because you can just find it all online or this, that, or the other. And it's like, yes. But it's all about ease of access, and $20 for a portion of the PHB, a portion of the DMG, and a portion of the Monster Manual, plus an adventure.
And some pre-gen characters for a brand new set of dice. It's reasonable. $50 seems like a bit much, and from the image, it doesn't look like the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle is an adventure that's much longer than the starter set adventure. So it's not like a full like campaign book or like an adventure book. So the pricing is a little bit weird. Also, I mean, Wizards of the Coast hasn't officially announced it. Yeah. So this is all very subject to change. Neat, interesting. I think it's hilarious that Hasbro is just like, oh yeah, we'll just put this in a sizzle reel and 7,000 people are going to watch it and no one's going to recognize it, and there's articles. I think that's funny.
I think Hasbro has not hit the understanding that the Marvel Disney crew has, where as soon as you drop something, even a little tiny hint of something, that fans of the extreme are going to jump on and be like, look. Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about Hasbro, it's getting a little rocky over there. Yeah. Second news item: Free the Wizards. Pawtucket's Hasbro faces proxy fight over Dungeons and Dragons. This is from Yahoo News. Very reputable source. I believe specifically it's referencing the Providence Journal. If you don't know much about corporations, they tend to be owned by a massive number of entities, especially public corporations that are traded on the stock market. One little company here, AltaFox Capital Management, is in Texas, and it owns 2.5% of Hasbro's outstanding stock, so stock that is sold to the public. So like probably more than half of the company in terms of their stock allocation is owned by like their corporate leaders, their owners, maybe their employees, etc. And then of the public stock, 2.5% of that is owned by this firm, which is not a large percentage, but on the scale of stocks and corporate, it's very, very important. Right now, Hasbro is trying to elevate a new chief executive, Chris Cox.
Chris.
Yes. He currently heads the company's Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming division. But this Fox Capital Management Company in Texas is trying to throw their weight around a little bit, and they want to spin off the Wizards of the Coast and the digital games division into its own entity and try and shake up Hasbro's board and in turn reduce executive pay. Basically, Alta believes that Wizards of the Coast and their digital games division is kind of propping up the other divisions of Hasbro, and that if Wizards of the Coast was spun off into its own separate entity, that they would be able to keep more of their assets for themselves instead of other Hasbro divisions, which would then give more cash flow for projects for Wizards of the Coast, D&D, digital games, as well as, in turn, it would reduce the pay of executives at Hasbro and really kind of have to change their board of directors structure. It's kind of dry, but it kind of puts into perspective a little bit more the corporate going, because we always think of like Wizards of the Coast as like its own thing.
Yeah.
But it is owned by Hasbro, and Hasbro has the rights to like printing pretty much everything.
Yeah.
The starter set, the essentials kit, their line of minis, everything. And toy companies are toy companies. I think in the 21st century, the digital age, it's a lot harder to sell toys. Kids want to play on the iPad a lot more than with a plastic truck. I don't want to make a claim about which I would think is better, just because I don't think we're very well informed on this. Mm-hmm. I would say the idea of breaking up corporations, I'm always probably going to be in favor of, especially when you look at like the video game industry and the waves and waves of corporate consolidation that are happening. Like, it's not going to be good for the games industry, and spinning off Wizards of the Coast and letting it be its own entity, I think, could be beneficial to it as well as their customers. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, Alta Fox owns only 2.5% of outstanding stocks, and they can throw their weight around, but as with their amount of weight that can be thrown around, they would need basically the permission from the board of directors to shake up the company in that way. So it doesn't look like something that would be very likely to happen, but it is something that's going on in the background. And while it likely won't impact D&D and Wizards of the Coast, like day-to-day operations or releases and any of that, it is something that I think it's important to be made aware of.
Right, I think that this sort of thing, like you said, it's very dry and not something we usually cover, because we usually try to cover more of the content-based stuff and the goings-on in the community, but the background is very important, because I don't think a lot of people look at Wizards of the Coast as just being part of another entity, like you said, and we live in a lot of due to social media, there's a lot of parasocial relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of those are customer to company, where a lot of small businesses will listen to their customers. But this goes to show that Wizards of the Coast they're not just somebody you're reaching out to Twitter to get a change happening. They've still got Daddy Hasbro in the background, hand on the shoulder.
Big Daddy Hasbro.
Big Daddy Hasbro.
I don't like that.
All right, we will
strike that from the record.
We will not. You're not going to do that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm predicting what you'll do.
Anyway, Alta Fox has nominated a couple of people to the board of directors, since there are a couple of spots open. Not really anyone that means anything to us. Matthew Calkins is the CEO of Appian Corporation, which is cloud computing and enterprise software. Carolyn Johnson, a former executive for American International. Ronnie Hublu, a principal at Incline Strategies. Marcelo Fisher, the chief financial officer of cloud communications and financial services company IDT. The interesting one, John Finkel, managing partner at investment management firm Landscape Capital Management. And you may recognize him because he is a former professional player of Magic the Gathering, as well as other tabletop games. I'm not a big Magic the Gathering person.
Not either.
I've fallen off of my Magic the Gathering arena obsession from a couple of months ago. But yeah, I mean, corporate shakeups can have trickle-down effects. Wizards of the Coast is somewhat isolated in their corporate structure, but just something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
There could be big developments here that would really kind of change the game of change the way the company operates, change the game a little bit.
Follow us for more. I'm sure if something interesting comes up, we'll let you know. We won't be the first because we only release every 2 weeks, but we'll let you know eventually.
Yeah. But we'll move on to our third and final news item for the podcast today from Market Watch. A Dungeons & Dragons musical set to premiere in New York City. Which is just about as D&D fan as I think you can really get.
You know, like, I don't think we should be overly surprised. Like, think of musicals we've had in the past. Shrek the musical. Shrek did weird things to the universe. Yeah.
Rogers.
That's the one I was trying to think of. I was like, I can't.
That's fictional. It's not real.
Fictional. Well, they do have one number. There's one produced number from Rogers the Musical.
They do. Anyway, Here There Be Dragons, a new musical quest, is going to open off-Broadway in June, but they are already discussing options of moving it on to Broadway eventually. It was made with $250,000. Chase O'Neill, he wrote the book lyrics for the musical. And he's been a New York City-based playwright. He's 28 years old, been playing D&D since he was in college. And he wants to, quote, bring the game's fantasy to life, end quote. And he also wants to make it about the D&D community itself. Quote, the musical is more about the players who played it, end quote. It's not being licensed through Hasbro. Officials of the toy company did not respond to comment. And, yeah. It's something. It looks like it'll be something. That's for sure.
It's definitely going to be an interesting take, focusing on the story of the people who play it instead of the story that they're playing. We've seen, we've talked about on this podcast a number of shows that are going to be focusing on stories of D&D that are coming around here soon, but to have one that focuses on the players and possibly the struggles of the community, and by somebody who's our age. Yeah,
that's cool. It makes me feel a lot less successful as an individual.
Oh yeah,
by comparison.
Don't get me wrong.
Which is great. Which is a great feeling. And one last note here: there is precedent for board game themed musicals to have success. With Clue. The musical, based on the game of the same name, had a short off-Broadway run in 1997. Went on to find life in community theaters and elsewhere, as well as a film adaptation.
Yeah, Donald Faison was in that one.
Yeah, had 3 different endings that released in different parts of the United States at the same time. Which is just so cruel. I love it.
Amazing.
You can never pull something like that off ever again.
No,
not in the modern day.
No, unfortunately.
I would absolutely love if someone did that, where like every country it was released in, the last like 15 minutes was different.
You found out who the murderer was, but it was different every time.
Every time you see it, they just make 30 versions of the ending. And every time you walk into a theater, one's just picked.
they just push a random button and get that one.
That's hilarious. I would love that. Can you imagine like a crazy like Marvel multiverse movie and the ending's just different? There's like 5 different endings.
I think that would be. I like that idea. And it would have been so cool like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But now it's there. I mean, we watch so many videos on breakdowns of movies and of the trailers and everything, and be like, immediately new rock stars would be like, here's the ending. Well, hold up. What we know that most people don't know.
Yeah. And then
like,
that'd be so cool though. That'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Do we have any comments on the TikTok live pertaining to the news items?
Captain Bit Raven Claw J says, hi.
Hello. Love it, Raven.
Hi. Zachary Radar says, always thought Dungeons and Dragons was fun, but never had anyone to play with, or know what to do.
Hey, get in our Discord, hit up the looking for group chat, and then just don't leave it be alone. Like, actually recruit people. Find some people.
Yeah.
Reply to some things. It'd be a good time.
That will wait till the end. Dustin Blunt says hello. Hello, Dustin Blunt.
I don't know what a blunt is.
It's an object that deals bludgeoning damage. All right, Dustin's questions will wait till the end, I think. Those are good. Some good wrap-up questions. No, it looks like we're good to move on.
Okay. This will begin the Spoilercast portion. If you have not yet seen The Legend of Vox Machina and you do not want to be spoiled on it, I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast that is labeled a Legend of Vox Machina Spoilercast, but...
Are you going to put, graphics up on the screen that say, spoiler, warning for the YouTube video?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Be sad about it.
I will.
Legend of Vox Machina is on Amazon Prime. They released 3 episodes a week over 3 weeks to help hit their promises from their Kickstarter of being able to watch it for free. Mm-hmm. You can get a free trial on Amazon Prime. Sign up for an account. You just have to cancel it at the end of the month. You'll be able to watch it all, binge it all right now. And I feel like this show is kind of divided into 2 sections, maybe 2.5 sections. Mm-hmm. The first 3 episodes, obviously, you're establishing the characters. They have a little run-in with the dragon. They set up some sort of interactions, the personality of all the characters. We watched the first 2 episodes a little early because Samuel was a Kickstarter.
Kickstarter backer.
It's a Kickstarter backer.
So the first 3 episodes actually are even pre-stream for campaign 1 of Critical Role. And it's talked about, and they talk about it a lot, but but it's very interesting because originally the Kickstarter was just for those 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. And so we were expecting just a 3-episode run of this animated series, but they've had one of the most successful Kickstarters in history, if not the most successful.
I'm pretty sure it is top 3.
Yeah. I don't know if I think at the time they finished the Kickstarter, it was the most successful. I don't know if anything else has overcome that since, but
I don't know.
We did look that up, and we're not going to.
We're not going to. But they're a bunch of fucking morons. The lot of them. This is not a children's show as well.
They make that very clear right from the beginning.
Very first episode, they start off with a gory bar fight where people's hands are getting chopped off, people are swearing. Cut to Scanlan Shorthalt having sex, and you get to see his gnome testicles, and it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot right out of the gate. They get hired to deal with some towns that have been getting destroyed. Turns out it's a dragon. Turns out the dragon is actually polymorphing into one of the members of the Tal'Dorei Council, and then they have to expose them and kill them, which they successfully do. Bunch of fucking idiots. I don't know how they did that.
I mean, they definitely make that emphasis of showing look, here's how they first come together to be a group.
Yeah. They obviously they show the core pairings and core groups with Vax and Vex. Jesus Christ. With Vax and Vex, the brother and sister duo, Grog and Pike being the best buds, Percy kind of doing his own thing, Scanlan doing his own thing, Keyleth doing her own thing. Those first 3 episodes definitely feel like they have a different vibe than the other 6 that follow, which makes sense. The first 3 episodes are the ones they originally had a plan for when they launched the Kickstarter, when they got the idea, they started writing, they started doing it all. They made it flow well enough.
Yeah. They were, compared to the next 6 episodes, they were fitting a lot into 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But that being, like we said, the contrast of the first 3 to the later part of the season, I think really worked well for what they were trying to convey of the mismatched group into the more cohesive group, even if that was unintentional.
Yeah. Then we get into sort of the second arc, which is just a general recap of the Briarwood arc from campaign 1. The first 3 episodes, or maybe episode 4, 5, and 6, are more of them discovering the Briarwoods at a gala with the Tal'Dorei Council. That's when you get a little bit of hint at Percy's disdain for them. Vax sneaking up to get them the snake belt. and then a little scuffle in the courtyard. They get imprisoned in their keep, their free keep that they were given for their deeds to the realm. End up fighting some more undead, break out. Pike has a crisis of faith, has to go to her temple, which you would not see on stream because that was just the excuse for Ashley Johnson to not be there to go and
film Blindside.
Yeah, I was gonna say more like not be cool, but that
I mean,
film Blindside, I guess.
How uncool of her to go be a famous actress.
Look,
in a popular TV show.
Why would you do that when you could just play D&D with your friends online? I mean, I feel like the answer's pretty easy there.
Well,
anyway, you don't see that part on stream because it's happening all off screen, and it's just an excuse for Ashley Johnson to leave. And they kind of poke fun at that idea a little bit throughout the series. That's kind of like the half arc, because you have the beginning arc that's the dragon and the group coming together, and then the last 3 episodes are clearly like proper Briarwood Whitestone arc. But like that 4, 5, and 6 is just kind of like in a weird transitionary limbo sort of thing. Yeah. Obviously trying to branch this one story to this other story that in the campaign happened a fairly good distance apart. I mean, you're talking like 20, 30 episodes before you get to the Briarwood arc. I think this is where the show had its biggest lull. There was a lot of annoying things to me where they start like the idea of like Pike and Keyleth kind of being like the if you'll indulge me, the Deus Ex Machina of Vox Machina. And then later there's some things of like mind control and all of the quirks that make combat annoying in both D&D as well as I would say in fiction. The idea of like, like we would normally wipe the floor with this guy, but you choose to take Grog and turn him into getting a little ahead of myself. But
you are, but
what do you think?
I tend to agree is that this section overall the show is done very well, and we always have, and just as a review we have to pick a low part and a high part, and I definitely agree that this is the low part, where they do some cool things in these episodes. They have some cool character development. They have a little bit like the fight scene. One of the fight scenes is very cool. The shadow fight scene.
It's very cool.
Where they can't hit it.
They can't hit it
until.
And they're also trying to use that. They don't have their weapons right out of the gate. They're trying to get the guards on their side, sort of a thing, because they're up in trial for killing someone. Which.
Yeah, well,
they did, but. It was a Briarwood guy. It's fine.
But I think this is really this kind of arc, or this mini arc of some of these fights are really where it emphasized that even though this is a D&D idea, like this is a D&D based show, they're not strictly adhering to the rules of D&D to
Absolutely.
write this cartoon.
Yeah,
which I think.
You are now. With that being said, you are still going to get your decidedly D&D moments. Your big build up to episode 3 of Grog saying, "I would like to rage," for example. Scanlan's hand. Your blind. Your what is it? The silence spell later on with Delilah, and it's all great.
Yeah,
you see the D&D influence there for sure, and they hint at, without really explicitly saying anything, they hinted a lot of like esoteric D&D things with like Vex having her what is it, favorite enemy,
her primordial awareness,
primal awareness, her tie to dragons. And she can kind of sense when the dragon is appearing at the very beginning of the show. And then at the very, very end of the show, the sort of cliffhanger that they leave you on season 1, she gets the headache and the sense that the dragons are approaching again for when the Chroma Conclave attack Iman. Which would be a very cool season 2. If they get to that.
But yeah, during this shadow fight, I think, like I was saying, I think this is really kind of where they emphasize that this is not necessarily straight up D&D. And it a little bit, I don't know if you noticed you said it, because I don't talk a lot when I'm watching a movie. I just watch the movie. Connor talks a lot.
I talk constantly.
Yes.
I have to be communicating about the cool shit that's happening.
Yeah. It was very. People would look at us when we go to theaters, especially like during Spider-Man.
I lost my shit at Spider-Man. I'm not going to apologize for that either.
The dude next to me was like when you lost your shit, he was like, "Oh yeah." And then he looked over at you and starts like, he was laughing at you losing your shit.
I'm okay with that.
Funny.
I could not care less. I have fun doing it.
I was afraid you were going to break the seat you were bouncing up and down in.
Dude. This isn't a spoiler cast for Spider-Man No Way Home. Go see that, but spoiler alert. Fucking Tobes Maguire just kind of like casually being like, hey, I'm in this movie. Hey, what's up? Or like the long shot of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and you can tell from the long shot because the eyes are different. Like, that's not Tom Holland. That's weird. That's different. And then he jumps through the portal, and it's like, that's a different Spider-Man. What's going on? And then he rips the thing off, and it's like, yeah, that's the man.
But yeah, so...
it's such a good movie. We need to watch that movie again.
I've watched it twice, I think.
We should watch it, but not do the annoying thing where people are just like recording, like shooting the movie on their phone on TikTok Live and like clearly doing illegal things by just showing the movie. But we should point the phone at us while we watch it. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we could do that.
It'd be fun.
Well, something besides D&D to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
What did I say about the ghost fight?
I think you literally just said that's not how that works.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And, it was a whole build up to like Keyleth, Keyleth is having a crisis of identity and being like, I can't be who I am. I can't cast spells because I'm so nervous about who I am. Mm-hmm. And this is a point where she has to overcome that. And that's the whole point of the kind of the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said that's not how that works. I'm like, okay, that really exemplifies like, yeah, they're not just going to say, all right, well, this person, they hit with the attack, so they take half damage as a shadow or whatever.
Yeah, they just are immune to everything.
Yeah.
Which cinematically, it's a lot more impactful, and they can craft the story arcs more precisely for all these different characters. Mm. They kind of create like a little they don't explicitly say it, but Cassandra and Vax, they kind of have like similar paths of being brainwashed and having to fight the people they love against their will and having to fight out of that, and how their familial bonds kind of overcome that and help them get through that process. They can hone in more on Keyleth and her crisis of ability and personal nervousness, and that kind of gets paid off at the very end when she ends up casting the daylight spell that gets rid of Silas. And she has little steps along the way of the fighting the ghosts and the specters, and then finding the sun tree in the basement and having that link begin. And even with Pike, it's really cool to see the things that are happening off stream, mm-hmm. or the things that are happening in Matt's brain. The Delilah and Silas backstory section, that scene of Silas getting sick and dying, and then her at his bedside and finding this book of vile darkness and doing the blood magic and casting the spell, and that first it puts into perspective a lot the Briarwood's motivations, and it makes Delilah specifically, I would say Delilah, a lot more of an interesting character than she is in Campaign 1, who's just kind of like the recurring villain, mm-hmm. the bad guy that keeps popping up when you knock her down. And she has motivations, and Matt hints at those motivations, but to actually see it play out from her perspective through her eyes is something that you can't really experience in D&D, and that you can only get in a show or a movie or an animated product like this. There's
definitely interesting, read online and heard of different ways that people have tried to implement things like that in their campaigns, where it's like, oh, we're maybe do a session where all the characters roll up evil PCs, and we do a little bit of the villain's backstory or things like that. But yeah, I would say that, and it's not necessarily a weakness of D&D, because D&D is a game and and it's a storytelling game, not a book writing session.
Yeah, it's a device more than anything else. Yeah. And as a dungeon master, you come up with your backstory in your head, and whether or not that comes out at the table or it's ever important is neither here nor there. And, I'm sure Matt had this backstory for Delilah the whole time. Mm-hmm. And all of the details of that interaction and the bedside death and the finding the Book of Vile Darkness and being called to it and manipulated and all that. But a lot of that didn't come out at the table, and it had no reason to.
Right.
She was just a bad guy. Yeah. And in the Vox Machina campaign 1, a lot of that campaign is, all right, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Good guys kill the bad guys, even though we're kind of bad, but it's fine.
Yeah.
They're classic adventurers.
Classic adventures.
And there's no need to make it sympathetic, but with animation and TV and movies, having... I don't like the trend of everything being a sympathetic villain or a sympathetic antagonist, and Delilah is certainly not sympathetic. Like, what she's doing is decidedly evil and decidedly selfish, but you understand why she wants to behave that way.
Yeah.
And you get a really good look at her motivation, because most of campaign 1, it's like, we just wanted Whitestone, and we're trying to bring back an old god. It's fine. We're just bad. Let's talk about Percy.
Let's talk about Percy. No Mercy Percy.
We don't talk about Bruno, but we will talk about Percy.
Yes.
Decidedly so. And No Mercy Percy it's one thing to have it described on stream and for a player to be making decisions that are gruesome and just being verbally described, but to witness some of the shit that he does is they do not shy away.
No.
It is very gnarly.
Yeah.
And you can see things visually that hint at what's going on with Percy and what's going on with the demon inside of Animus that's manipulating him, that we're not going to really see on stream or in a campaign, or it's not going to stand out and become as prominent as you would think. Like, when it's the second to last episode and they're making their way to the ziggurat that's underground to have their final confrontation with Delilah and Cyrus, and Cassandra traps them in the acid pit room, and Animus, one of the names, changes to Cassandra on it. And that, I feel like that's one of the hints where it's like, okay, because throughout the show they kind of, obviously if you watched campaign 1 you get what's going on. Yeah. But the show sets it up as, okay, he has so much anger and hate and vengeance in his heart that he put all of that malice into the gun that he created and literally marked the names that he wants to kill, the doctor, the teacher, the Briarwood, everyone. But watching his sister's name appear on it, I think, is the first hint to the audience as well as him. I mean, obviously you get the smoke and they're kind of overt with it, but it's the first real hint that there's an outside entity influencing this, because at no point would Percy want to kill Cassandra. Even if she was outwardly helping the Briarwoods throughout and didn't look like she was on their side, because that was his sister and he would have assumed that she was being manipulated and that he could bring her back and all that. And then later, when the demon takes over and he's starting to fight Vox Machina, but thinking that they are all of these evil people from his past, which is a great sequence, by the way.
Yeah.
And then all of the members of Vox Machina show up on his gun. Those little visual details that you can't really easily get in D&D. I think it's where a lot of the strengths of the show lie. They definitely take advantage of the medium and pull a lot of their influence from their campaign, but they're not beholden to it.
Yeah.
And they can explore a bit more of the storytelling that they weren't able to get to with just playing D&D.
Sure. D&D does not lend itself well to subtext.
Not at all.
No, because, like you said, I mean, obviously when we're, between role-playing, there is some ability to transfer subtext, but people who play D&D are not necessarily actors of the highest regard. Sometimes they are, in the case of the...
professional voice actors, in some cases.
Sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. But, so the ability to show and not tell, or to use voice inflection, or to get 2 or 3 tries to get what you're trying to say across how you wanted to get it across. Again, not a weakness of D&D, just not necessarily what it's for. And I think
not its strength.
Yeah, not its strength. And if we want to make a social commentary, I think a lot of the not so much. I don't think in recent like months, years, we've moved away from it. But there used to be the whole internet talking about the effects, the Matt Mercer effect, just constantly.
I hate that.
And I think it just comes down to that misalignment of expectations between old players, new players, players who have never played, players who have watched Critical Role, and things like that. I think we've moved away from it a little. I mean, there's always going to be a misalignment there in some regard, but I think that the community has done very well to move away from that idea.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you will always be able to find a game that's like Critical Role, with like all the theater kids and like you'll find that group. And if that's the kind of game that you want to play in, then you need to let that be known and seek that out. The Matt Mercer effect is not the Matt Mercer effect. It's the inability to discuss what they want effect from players. Matt Mercer has not done anything wrong. He's a very good DM. He's a very good voice actor, and he's good at what he does. And Critical Role is successful for a reason, and I think that is due in large part to Matt.
Yes.
But back to the Legend of Vox Machina.
Back to the Legend of Vox Machina. After this commercial break.
We don't have commercials.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. This one's not sponsored. We have the ability to insert ads on the audio version, but I don't do that because I don't like just a company being like, yeah, we'll put ads on your thing for you. I'm like, I want to pick the ads. I want to make the ads myself. If we're gonna do ads, we're gonna sell out. Like, I want to sell out. I don't want to be sold out by our podcast hosting service.
When we get ready to drop the Blood Pact, do you wanna insert an ad for the Blood Pact where we just go really weird with it?
100%. We're like our own little commercial, and then like between segments, it'll just like we'll do the whole bit.
I'm into it. All right, cool.
Dodie, make note of that. Oh, Dodie's over here.
That's right. He ran out of battery in the middle of the night.
Yeah, sometimes Dodie doesn't get back to the charger.
That's okay.
No Mercy Percy is devoid of mercy, as some might say. I think the second half of the show does suffer a little bit from Percy as the main character syndrome, which Vox Machina has never been. I mean, in D&D in general, has never been here's the main character, here's the supporting cast.
Yeah.
Which is a tough balancing act that they have to deal with, and I feel like a lot of all the characters have some arc to them. Vax stepping out of his comfort zone with his relationship with Vex and blatantly admitting that he loves Keyleth. Mm-hmm. Keyleth having to believe in herself and take on some responsibility while Pike is gone. Vex having to learn to let her brother go a little bit, and they kind of make that a little bit overt with the brainwashing that Vax gets. Grog's Grog. He's Grog. Scanlan coming into his own, he kind of gets shit talked and doesn't do a whole lot, honestly, for a large chunk of the show, and he gets an opportunity where he has to go to one of the manors in Whitestone and make a distraction by setting the place on fire. Mm-hmm. And he kind of stumbles his way through it. He kind of Jack Sparrows it a little bit, but
it's the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
Yeah, but you have heard of him. But, he gets his usual Scanlan's hand. He does the lightning bolt from the dick, and he succeeds on the mission despite all of the naysaying from Vox Machina. Percy obviously has the biggest character arc. It's his entire main story from campaign 1.
Yeah.
And even Pike gets an arc in a part of the story that's being told where she is not really a participant in the campaign.
Yeah, I think
the crisis of faith is always I like that, and I like how they chose to resolve that crisis of faith. That it's not Saren Ray punishing Pike, but Pike having a crisis within herself that has severed the connection, and her having to accept what life she wants and still be a part of the faith as well. Which, by the way, they don't mention Saren Ray.
No.
They mention
The Everlight.
The Everlight. And they don't mention Vecna. They mention the Whispered One because D&D. Scanlan's hand. It's not Bigby's hand.
Scanlan's hand.
It's Scanlan's hand.
They also never, this is a reference to another media, they never call the keep what they called it in the campaign because the keep is Grayskull Keep, named after He-Man.
Yeah.
Grayskull Castle. I think that the idea that Percy is the main character is, you could interpret it that way, and I'm sure there are people out there who are.
There's going to be a lot of people that have never heard of Critical Role before this that I think will have that misconception.
Which, yeah, I get it. I think like you're saying, they did pretty good to also pull in different directions to try to shy away from that. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that the Briarwood arc was Percy's personal backstory arc. You know, in this next season, I think we'll probably see the Grog backstory arc, since that's happened during the Chroma Conclave storyline.
Obviously,
Scanlan will get his as well.
Yeah. Which Scanlan, I think they're kind of setting up Scanlan in this first season to have that, fuck you guys, you've always talked shit, you've never believed in me, you've never given me credit, you know nothing about me, what's my mom's name? Moment.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be, how they choose to build up to something like that would be very interesting.
Yeah. But then also outside of just the show, like it's not often, I think, that we see the way that this is going, where it started with the D&D campaign. And while you can ignore everything else, Marvel's going in the opposite direction, where Marvel, you could just watch the movies. Now Marvel, if you want to understand things, you're going to have to watch the shows and the movies.
Yeah.
But with...
I definitely think that Spider-Man's going to be the last one that you can watch by itself.
Yeah.
Like, once you get into Multiverse of Madness and going forward, you're really going to have to watch the shows.
Yeah.
I mean, Wanda's in it.
Wanda's in it, and they mentioned things that happen in WandaVision.
They're very impactful and important. Yeah.
And somebody, I saw a TikTok the other day that, again, just side note, I saw a TikTok the other day where somebody, whether a Marvel fan content creator, was replying to a comment where he named Sam Wilson, like he was listing characters, and Sam Wilson popped up and he's like, oh, Captain America. And then he got a line of comments that were berating him for calling him Captain America. It's like, did you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Because he's Captain America now.
Yeah. Like, that's just what he is.
That's just what he is. Anyway, but we've talked about how, not on this podcast, you and I have talked about how, Vex and Vex never really get a character resolution arc in the show. Because theirs is more of an RP thing based around their father. It happens a little bit before. But they have their own book. They have Keth and Ken.
They have Kith and Kin, yeah.
Keth and Ken.
And they're a lot of, I feel like the best parts of Vax and Vex's story are the interactions with the other members of Vox Machina and how their relationships grow. Vax and Keyleth and Percy and Vex.
We got way sidetracked there.
Look, sometimes you get into a sidebar that goes into a sidebar that goes into a sidebar, and then to get back to the original, you have to go back through the previous sidebars, like trace your way back, sort of thing. And it's really hard to jump just right back.
That's fair. So we're getting to the end of the run here. We've got
Pike makes a return. Oh my gosh, the Whitestone zombie apocalypse.
Yes,
which is awesome.
That's cool.
That's really cool. That's when Pike makes her illustrious return, when the people of Whitestone rally with Percy to fight off the zombies at the Sun Tree. They poke fun a little bit at astral projection and how she's kind of like, Ashley made it back for the cool parts.
Yeah.
And she's going to go again, which I'm totally cool with. And they make a point to keep bringing up, like, oh, well, it takes a lot out of me to bring out here. And they're like, oh yeah, Pike's here for that fight, and then Pike's here for them walk into the ziggurat and the acid pit trap and the fight against Silas and Delilah, and Pike even kind of encourages Keyleth to come into her own to cast the daylight spell that kills Silas. And it's kind of one of those like, oh yeah, they're just like poking fun, but like Pike's just here, and that's okay. And then the culmination of that with Keyleth supposedly dying and Pike going to save her, and then that's the moment that the connection is severed, and they're all stuck there like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Obviously, Keyleth's not going to die in season 1 of The Legend of Vox Machina, but it still gives you that sinking like, oh fuck, what are they going to do now? And all of that happening while Percy's going mad.
Yeah.
That's I think the highlight. Obviously, there's a reason that's the last major encounter they have, but there's a lot of effort put into all the dynamics that led into that.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I think that episode, that encounter right there, even lends to something that happens in real time years down the line, where Vax. God.
Vox. We need a Vux and a Vix. Kith and kin and fucking. There's so many. I get it.
Anyway, but where Vax, at the end of the campaign, the very last level up takes 1 level in Druid. Shows him using druidic mat.
Yeah, and to save Keyleth, he remembers some healing that she did on Cassandra several episodes prior.
Yeah,
and it ends up working, shockingly. Even though, didn't they have a health potion and then it like didn't work or something?
It didn't work because they were too close to the anti-magic
orb. Yeah, which I'm sure nothing's wrong. Like I'm sure it's safe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they sent some people to deal with it. Yeah, it's fine.
It's probably fine.
Yeah. Delilah dies for the first time.
Yeah.
For the first time.
I was gonna say, he said when that happened, you're like, well, that's not canon. I'm like, oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
When you're dealing with undeath, things get nutty.
Yeah, it gets things become like a weird soup. It's like that.
Weird soup.
It is. One of my favorite bits of the whole thing of like, Percy, we should really get rid of that gun. He's like, oh no, it's fine. I killed the demon. It's totally fine. And then Scanlan chucking it in the acid anyway, and then the demon going, ah! He's like, oh, fair enough. that was one of my favorite bits of the whole thing.
That was a good. I did enjoy that bit.
And getting back to Iman and declaring the reclamation of Whitestone and what's his face Tal'Dorei. I never remember his first name.
Now I'm blanking on the king.
The king of Tal'Dorei, disbanding the monarchy and ceding control of Tal'Dorei to the Tal'Dorei Council, and Vox Machina given a place of prominence amongst that organization. Immediately before a horde of dragons start flying to Iman, and clearly setting up another cool arc of the fight against the Chroma Conclave. I'm very excited. I hope they take multiple if they do another 12 episode run for season 2. I would be totally happy if they took 3-4 episodes on just the assault of Iman and just like milk that and take their time and make it dark and sad and give that all the detail and attention that it deserves. Because the Chroma Conclave is quite like that seems like a multi-season conflict to resolve, because there's just so many moving parts to it.
It could definitely be. If we're gonna slip into the prediction hour here,
might as well.
We need a prediction hour graphic now.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. Get Andy on that.
I'm not.
Okay. Anyway, so my prediction is, unfortunately, I think that they're going. Well, not unfortunately, but I think what you're saying is could be cool. But I'm guessing that they'll take 2 episodes for the decimation of Amon, and then do probably there's four dragons. I'm guessing that they'll probably do 2 to 3 arcs for 3 episode arcs for the white, black, and red dragons, with the green dragon arcing throughout as she does in the campaign, with probably the last episode being the fighting all the Scanlan stuff.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
I would love them to like really stretch this out, because the Chroma Conclave can be the overarching conflict for like this could be a motivating drive for seasons, just because they could really take advantage, like milk the Amon disaster, and really milk that green dragon thread throughout, and giving each dragon like their arc to shine. And then you could fit in a lot of really, really cool things like the Grog backstory and Craven Edge, which Grog gets some Craven Edge started up after defeating Silas, which is pretty cool. Get some Aramenti action a little bit. And I wouldn't even mind if they did like a little bit of rearranging and have Scanlan's kind of crisis of purpose and crisis of respect in the midst of the Chroma Conclave problem being like, fuck you guys, I have helped you, I have fought dragons with you, I have defeated the Briarwoods for you, I've done all of this stuff, and we have more and more stuff ahead of us, and you are still don't give me the respect I deserve. And I wouldn't even mind if they kind of changed up the timeline a little bit. There's a lot of cool things that happen in Campaign 1, and if they want to get to a lot of those cool moments, changing up the order of operations a little bit and being like, it makes the story more impactful if Scanlan is like in the midst of this mission with them and has been just driven to his breaking point, and then makes his return or like proves himself as, because like they don't trust him when he comes back,
right?
And make that a problem when he does, and like the final confrontation with the dragon, have that be his like proving ground moment of like, I'm back, I'm here to stay, sort of a thing. This is all speculation.
That would also, if they did that, they would also be able to bring in Terry and Darrington.
Terry.
And of course the illustrious Doty. But of course,
a wonderful vacuum cleaner.
As of now, Vox Machina is only confirmed for a second season, which was confirmed when Amazon picked up The Legend of Vox Machina after the Kickstarter.
Yeah, which with the success, I would argue with the success of this season, I bet it's doing great numbers, especially for Amazon Prime Video. There's not a lot of like Amazon exclusive products that I think are going to do as well as The Legend of Vox Machina will. It's getting a good push. I've seen like regular advertising for it, not just like nerd advertising for it. The quality of it is fantastic. And we haven't really talked much about the logistics of the series, but like the sound design is great. The animation is so good. I think maybe the first couple episodes are a little bit lesser, but I think that's just because like they were already kind of working on it when the Kickstarter was doing its thing and didn't realize what they had on their hands, and that's when they went all hands on deck, really. The pacing of the show, we've been I've been getting Sam to watch Attack on Titan, and I've been rewatching the first season. I'm not caught up on Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
But the pacing between Attack on Titan, which is a phenomenal anime, and the pacing of The Legend of Vox Machina, it's like you're getting whiplash with Vox Machina. Like it's just go, and I love that.
Yes.
Especially in a time where attention spans for viewers are getting a lot shorter, which you can like or dislike. People have shit going on.
Yeah.
And demanding an 80 episode commitment out of them to progress like a little bit of story can get really annoying. And a lot of your classic anime, Naruto, One Piece, DBZ,
definitely rely on that fact that they're dropping one episode every week.
Yeah.
And they can get away with, okay, the first third of the episode is recap from last week, and then they're going to have a flashback to 80 episodes ago, and then they're going to talk. But yeah, we were like you were saying, we finished Vox Machina we do it on my lunch break. We finished the episode of Vox Machina. We're like, all right, we got another 20 minutes. Let's watch an episode of Attack on Titan. And it's just like,
it like grinds to a halt.
It's just two different characters being like, I can't believe in myself. I have to believe in myself.
Yeah. And Attack on Titan gets better.
It does.
Like the pace picks up.
Yeah. It's been because the first episodes came out for the anime in 2013, I believe.
And there wasn't a whole lot of manga at the time of it.
Yeah, and of course, even 2013, streaming services were only just starting to get a foothold, whereas 2022, we're surprised that cable TV exists.
Yeah.
And,
The game's changed. Let's wrap up our discussion.
Yeah, let's wrap up our discussion.
I'm excited for season 2.
Me too.
I'm not going to score the show because I think it's a good show. It's
you
worth
also know
watching.
how to write music.
Well, I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I am. You're not going to rate the show.
I'm not going to rate it.
That's fine.
I'm not going to rate it.
I'm not going to rate it either.
I don't like review scores. If you really care about what we think about the fucking show, you would have listened to this, and you would probably know that we like it a lot.
Yeah.
And are excited for a second season.
As we say on most things, go watch it.
Yeah, enjoy it. It's not a lot of commitment, and it's only 12 episodes, 20-minute episodes. It's very judicious. It keeps things moving. Maybe don't watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
Maybe watch it with the teenagers at your discretion.
Mm-hmm. Don't watch it with your religious mother.
Yeah, no. I don't think the Mormons are going to like this show very much.
I mean, if you're Mormon and you like this show, let us know.
Oh, please do. Please do.
Hop into our Discord.
Nothing wrong with Mormons. Mormons, exceptionally kind people.
Yes.
Exceptionally kind and accepting people.
Knew a couple of them, actually, in my hometown.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're Mormon
musical.
and you enjoyed The Legend of Vox Machina, hop into our Discord and tell us what you liked about it.
Yeah.
Or if you're
go
not a
see the
Mormon.
D&D musical, because you also have the Book of Mormon.
I've never actually seen that, but I enjoy the music.
I've heard it's fine.
I've heard it's hilarious.
That too.
Also, one you should not watch with the children.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen it. So
Anyway, also, if you're not a Mormon and enjoyed The Legend of Vox Machina, hop into our Discord and tell us about it.
oh man, there's so much division in the world, and we're still like, yeah, if you're Mormon, you can come on. Then if you're not Mormon, also come. It's like, what? Okay. We got some questions in the chat.
Oh, yes, we got some questions in the chat.
We got some questions. We record every podcast live on TikTok. We get some questions from the audience. Another great way is to ask us questions in the Discord server. No one ever fucking does that.
No.
So do that.
Yeah, if you want your question read, put it in this.
Guaranteed to be read on the Discord because no one's done it yet.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
So first up from Big Jim and the Twins 2.
Oh boy.
Big Jim asks, what our favorite D&D accessory is, and he follows it up with a comment that says, must have D&D accessories, heart. We have a number of D&D accessories.
I'm gonna give a controversial one here.
Okay.
Tape measure.
Oh, I don't think it's controversial.
It's not D&D accessory, but it is exceptionally useful.
And we use it all the time.
We use it every game.
Oh yeah.
The tape measure is a must-have at an arm's reach. It's great for measuring spell distances, the long range on weapon movement.
Yeah.
It really streamlines the whole having to count like 5, 10, 15, 20. You can just whoop. You know, a 30-foot movement is 6 inches. You pull it out and you're like, all right, you can get to there. It's very useful.
Yeah, we didn't use one for a long time, and then I randomly started watching Warhammer videos.
Yeah.
And Warhammer, they use the same idea.
They don't have grids.
They don't have grids. They just use a tape measure. I was like, we have a tape measure.
Yeah.
And so now it lives in our D&D.
Yeah, we have a nice little IKEA rolly cart that we can roll up next to yourself while you're DMing. It's got a bunch of stuff. There's I'm just gonna list off a couple of cheap little these aren't D&D specific things, but they make D&D so much easier. You've got the tape measure. Mm-hmm. You've got the back scratcher. The back scratcher with the little the telescoping pole, because you can, if you're a DM, you can easily use that to move minis around the battle mat without having to fully reach across the table. As well as if you drink soda from plastic bottles
or milk,
you can get milk or anything out of a plastic bottle, a 2-liter, a smaller one, milk carton, anything. They have when you crack it for the first time, there's the cap, and then there's a little ring that keeps it sealed. And that little ring, if you can pry it off, you can get red ones and green, a whole bunch of different colors, and then you can mark them for concentration spells, for hex, for hunter's mark, for status effects. Yeah. Very, very useful. Love that. And we also have just some thin plastic that we've cut into rings and we put it various sizes for like, there's a 15-foot ring that I use for Spirit Guardians, and there's like a 30-foot ring and a 20-foot ring, and then we just kind of used a Sharpie to color in the edges, and that's all really cheap stuff that you can make, or just you might already have.
Yeah.
That is a great D&D accessory. D&D specific accessories that I love. I like a good notebook. I like a nice like little journal for note taking, but I would probably say my favorite accessory is the Critical Role Fortune's Favor spell scroll.
You do love that.
I love that. It's a nice little dice rolling mat. It's got a section. It's got a little zipper to hold dice on one end, and it's got these plastic tubes in it on the other end that are the perfect size to fit like most all character minis. And you can also fit auxiliary dice. I have one that's just full of D6s. We don't travel to play D&D because we host D&D. We've got all the D&D stuff here in the table, but I still use it because I really, really like it. Yeah. And if you were a player that always goes elsewhere to play D&D, you can kind of just roll up and you've got your scroll, and then you can just grab your notebook and your paper, and you're pretty good to go at that point.
Yeah. For me, my favorite... I'll kind of piggyback. My favorite non-specific or non-necessarily specific to D&D accessory is packing tape and or cover or sleeves for binder sleeves, and a wet or dry erase marker.
Yeah.
Marking off spell slots, HP, anything like that. Just or prepared spells from when I play a wizard. Like I do the prepared on the outside on the sheet. And that's easy to wet a little bit of a paper towel, wipe it off, and you're good to go after your long rest.
Yeah, the packing tape maneuver is now like just my default. Every time we level up, I like to make a new character sheet because we love like throwing random feats and items and all this kind of shit at our players just because we love that. And when we play D&D, that tends to happen too. So a lot of stuff can change, for example, between level 4 and level 5 with the campaign we played in last night. So every time I do a level up, I like to clean up my character sheet and print out a new one and update all the information in it, typed up. And then I'll go in with the packing tape and cover up like the HP box along with like the hit dice and the death saves, and then my spell slots and all the different I put little parenthesis bracket open spaces for like features that have limited uses per something, and I cover all that in packing tape so you can dry erase and just like check them off. It is so nice.
Oh yeah,
just so nice.
Just so nice.
I think an easier if you weren't OCD like me and you're a fan of the binder, I think getting one of those full page sleeves would probably be a better way to go about that, and with wet erase in that instance, I would say more than dry erase. But I also have you can find on like DriveThruRPG and the DM's Guild backpack sheets, and then like covering up the section for all the coins. It gives you bigger boxes for it and all these. Highly recommend.
When it comes to D&D specific accessories, probably. Actually, I'm going to go with my dice box as well, which actually you made for me for Christmas one year. If
you go onto YouTube and you look up, there's a dice maker called Ribinator. He does a lot of dice making videos, very dice goblin-y. And he has a video of him getting some stuff from Walmart and scrounging together and building a little dice box. And that was my Christmas gift for you several years ago.
But yeah, it is solid. It is a good rolling surface because sometimes we have a lot of books in front of us, so I can put that on my lap and roll there. And I can transport minis in it because I do travel a little bit for D&D. Actually, after this, I'll be going up to Dayton, Ohio to play some D&D.
Some Star Wars D&D.
So,
man, this question got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk for 45 minutes about random D&D accessories that we love, that we have.
We probably could. Maybe we'll do that for when there's not a lot of D&D news going on.
Yeah, when there's a slow week.
All right. Next, Dustin Blunt.
I don't know what a blunt is.
Do y'all listen to Dungeons and Daddies? NADPOD, or Rude Tales If Magic. I assume he means Rude Tales of Magic. Those are great podcasts.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
I'm well aware of Dungeons and Daddies.
I've actually listened to NADPOD, NADDPOD. Don't sing yet. Anyway, but
my normal podcast and content consumption rotation, I have no room to be adding anything more than like 20 minutes at a time.
I'm as much as we just spent a whole episode talking about Critical Role, and we talked about this book a couple weeks ago. I'm not even caught up on the campaign. I do enjoy different D&D podcasts, but like you said, there's so much content out there.
I think Critical Role on YouTube has 13 episodes for campaign 3. I just finished episode 11, and I am counting my lucky stars that they've decided to do take off the last week of every month.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to get caught up by the end of the month, but at least I'm not falling as far behind. One of my coworkers, she got into D&D, and she got into Critical Role during our time working together. We still work together, but she binged immediately campaign 3 and is all the way caught up and wants to talk about all these things. And I'm like, I'm 2 episodes behind. She's like, you're a fake fan. I'm like, no, I'm just got other things I would rather be doing than sitting down for 4 hours and watching D&D. We talk about, think about, live D&D a lot.
Yeah.
And I love Critical Role, and I will continue to watch campaign 3, but sometimes I've got an hour left of Critical Role, and I'm like, I can't not do this right now.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against them. I love them. It's just a lot. It's a lot of content. I would be fucking thrilled, and a lot of people would hate this. I would be thrilled if they went to Critical Role every other week. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would feel so much less stressed not having to keep up with it. So yeah. Okay. Next one.
Actually, just Justin talks to us a little bit here, saying "lol" at some point. I don't know what that was in reference to.
I mean, we're all pretty funny.
We are hilarious.
Constantly funny.
Love D&D. I've been in a campaign since 2003.
Wow.
That's
the same one?
It's almost 20 years. That's 19 years.
Are you meeting once a quarter? What's going on?
Is this a yearly game where you just go and play for a week straight?
Oh my gosh. Oh my fucking god. We need to do a D&D retreat. A full-on extended weekend, multiple sessions over different campaigns, all weekend D&D fucking marathon. That would be so fun. I've had delusions of grandeur of my longest running campaign. 34 sessions. We can meet maybe once every quarter now.
Yeah.
We were going every other week for a while, and we went from level 2. We are now at level 15. I'm the DM. And we're starting to get into the all right, we gotta clean some storylines up, and then we're gonna get to the main shit. The big final level 20, level 19 shit. And when that happens, I've always had the delusion of we can plan for a weekend, we can get together, we can find the time we can take the time off. We can get together, we can go to the cabin, we can do D&D session, break for lunch, D&D session, have a big fucking massive build up thing for the end of the campaign, which I think would be awesome. I'd also be down for just a party weekend where we play a lot of D&D. Yeah. I think that'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
Everyone brings a session to DM and we all take turns. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then obviously, get drunk, enjoy the cabin hot tub.
Eat some
wangs.
Or some dogs.
Pizza. French fries.
Burgers.
I'm drooling now. Moving on. Is that it?
Dustin Blunt says, "Love that show. I assume in reference to Vox Machina."
I hope so.
But yeah. Mr. Dandy DM sent likes to the host. Thank you, Mr. Dandy DM.
Thank you. Well,
That's all that we got in the.
Yeah, we're about an hour 20 in.
Hour 20?
I think that's good.
We're always like, okay, we're gonna.
Here's the thing: we're always into the thick of things, and I look down and I see, oh fuck, we're 40 minutes in, and I'm like, I feel like we're gonna wrap up here in a little bit. That doesn't feel good. And then magically 40 more minutes go by. We're not that organized.
We are not.
So it's definitely not purposeful.
No, and you don't cut anything out really, except for some ums and uhs.
I cut out some ums and uhs. I cut out some pauses. I cut out, like if we're like fucking with the cat.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Taking drinks of water.
Well,
I often find myself cutting out Sam's bad jokes from time to time too, but that's just par for the course on this one.
There are no bad jokes that I tell. Only ones Connor does not like.
Yeah, they're bad. That's why I don't like them.
No, because you have no taste.
You're
like school in summer. No
taste.
Class.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
we've got some homebrew coming up.
Yeah.
By the time this video comes out, we've got a free feat pack on DriveThruRPG that you can download now. It's got some cool stuff.
There should also be a link in multiple places to a video of us talking.
Hopefully.
By
the time we post them.
We hope to have that out.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a nice camera coming soon. So that'll be nice. That'll be exciting. I say nice. It's like $200. It's not. We're not balling.
What we're using now.
Yeah, and then on the webcam and my phone.
Yeah.
It's an upgrade. But we've got that. In that pack, there's a feat called Arcane Overcharge, which is using hit dice to fuel the casting of magic, and is a little sneak peek at our upcoming blood magic supplement. I want to move away from calling it a pack, because it's not a pack.
Supplement.
It's a supplement.
A release.
Yeah, we're gonna charge like $5 for it on DriveThruRPG. It's gonna have several subclasses, spells, feats, magic items. We were very excited about a system for blood magic rituals.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have some stat blocks, some lore bits. We're gonna get some art. If you're an artist and you want to help us out, feel free to contact us on TikTok, or better yet, join our Discord and be like, "Hey, I'm an artist." And we'll probably definitely commission you if you do that.
Yeah.
I can all but guarantee that will happen.
But
yeah,
we'll
very
definitely
excited
talk about that once it comes out on this podcast.
It'll definitely be in the late May or late April, early May.
Yep, that's what we're aiming for.
You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Dungeon Bros YT. Subscribe to us on YouTube
at the Dungeon Bros. Find us on podcasts around the world.
Podcast services around the world. Apple, Spotify, Google.
Give us a 5-star rating.
Smart Fridge.
Give us a 5-star rating. That helps us show up on other people's stuff.
Probably like some weird like Alexa enabled device that is like on your wall. Like you could probably listen to us on your favorite smart picture frame.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
If you're listening right now, unplug your headphones and we'll take care of this. Alexa, give Dungeon Bros a 5-star review. Write the review that says, "This made me happy."
Okay, Google. Pay Dungeon Bros $500 on Cash App. Hey Siri, what's the weather like? Cool. Give a 5-star review to the Dungeon Bros on Apple Podcasts, please.
Cortana, please, reorder dog food. We know that you're out of dog food. You've been meaning to grab it for 3 days now.
Yeah.
But you haven't.
Yeah, you need to do that.
Work is hard. We get it.
Work is hard.
But you need to go to the grocery to take care of your dog.
Yeah. Buy in bulk. So then you don't have to do it as much.
Yeah.
I have so much cat food right now.
Or get one of those subscription services. Those are a little more expensive.
They're nice. They're nice.
But you don't have to think about it. It'll just come every month. We're happy that we are happy we were able to set this up for you.
Yeah. Now give us a 5-star review on Google Podcasts.
Mm-hmm. And Spotify.
And Apple.
Mm-hmm. And
OpenFM, probably. Plex. I think we're on Plex.
Oh yeah, you were very excited to set up for Plex.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big user of Plex, so I wanted us on Plex.
Give us a 5-star review on the Chevy website. Just go on to Chevy and write a review that says the Dungeon Bros have the best podcast.
The music has already started playing you out. I want you to know that. Okay. That's all we got. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time. We'll figure it out.
In the meantime, peace out.